Go ahead and title it Ratio, Language, and Writing Ratios. That's what we're going to be working on today. Pause the tape while you label your notebook. Okay, ratios. There are two key points we're going to look at today, and this should go into your notes. First is that ratios compare two quantities. It could be calories per donut. It could be miles per hour. It could be boys to girls. It compares two different quantities. Also, ratios can be expressed in two major ways, part to part or part to whole. Make sure you pause the tape while you get the notes down. Alright, so we're going to start to look here. In a classroom, there are 3 boys and 9 girls. What is the ratio of girls to boys? And as you can see, this is a part-to-part ratio. Girls, 9, boys, 3. And again, with ratios, remember the order matters. If it's asking you for girls first, then 9, which is the number of girls first, must come in your ratio. And we could write it with the colon as a 9:3. We can also write it, and you'll commonly see it written as a fraction, 9:3. The 9 representing the number of girls, the 3 representing the number of boys. The second example, which is written in red, says, what is the ratio of boys to total students? Well, what we're comparing here is boys, and that's pretty obvious. It tells us right here there's 3 boys. When we think about total students, we're going to have to do a little bit of work. Because if there's 3 boys and 9 girls, that means there's a total of 12 students in the class. So the first example of 3 boys, 9 girls, part to part, part to whole. Okay, copy this example in your notebook. A classroom has 4 boys for every 6 girls. Pause it while you copy it down. Okay, looking at some questions. First question says, what is the ratio of girls to boys? Well, the first thing we should notice here is this is a part-to-part ratio. And again, the order matters, and the first thing it tells us is girls. So we just find our information right here. There are 6 girls to boys for every 4 boys, so the ratio is 6:4. Also, you'll notice that both 6 and 4 are divisible by 2, so this can simplify to 3:2, meaning there's 3 girls for every 2 boys. Second question says, what is the ratio of boys to total students? Well, this is a part, and the part is boys, and we know there's 4 of them, to total students, which is the whole. In order to find out the total students, we just got to do a little bit of thinking. And if there's 4 boys and 6 girls, that means there are 10 total students. So the ratio of boys to total students is 4:10, which simplifies to 2:5, which means for every 5 total students, 2 of them will be boys. The last question is a little bit trickier. It says, what total number of students could be in the class? So this is where you got to think a little bit. If there are 4 boys and 6 girls, that means there are 10 total students here. So our answer could be a multiple of 10. There could be 10 students if we doubled the class. There could be 20 students. If we tripled the class, there could be 30 students. Also, if we start with 10 and we take half of that class size, we could have 5 students. So 5, and then you can keep going and going and going by multiples of 10. Alright, moving on. Writing ratios from a chart. Take the next 30 seconds and copy this chart into your notes. The left column is type of animals at the vet. Dogs, cats, rabbits, snakes, and hamsters. The right column is the number of each. 12 dogs, 15 cats, 8 rabbits, 3 snakes, 2 hamsters. Copy this into your notes. Before we look at any questions, there's a couple things that you should notice about the chart. First of all, when you look at it, you should be able to tell, okay, what animal is there the most of? And, well, 15 is the largest number, and 15 represents cats. So there's the most cats. We can also tell there's 12 dogs, which represents the second most amount, and there's very few snakes and hamsters. As we start looking at our questions here, the ratio of cats to rabbits is pretty simple. We go to our chart, we find how many cats there are. There are 15 cats, there are 8 rabbits, so the ratio of cats to rabbits is 15:8. The ratio of dogs to total animals. Well, we know there's 12 dogs, but what about this total animals thing? Well, I know there's some dogs, some cats, some rabbits, some snakes, some hamsters. So if I add up all of these numbers, that will give me the total animals that there are, and that will help me to write that ratio. So right now, go ahead and use your calculator and figure it out. So we're looking for dogs to total animals. So there are 12 dogs, and it's up to you to find out how many total animals there are. When you're ready to unpause it and have the answer figured out, we'll move on. Last question. This is a little bit of a unique situation. It says, write the ratio of rabbits or hamsters to dogs. Well, when I think rabbits or hamsters, it means I could choose these 8 rabbits or these 10 hamsters, which between these rabbits and these hamsters, that's actually a total of 10 that are rabbits or hamsters to dogs, and we already know that there are 15 dogs. So cats to rabbits, that is a part-to-part ratio. Dogs to total animals, that's a part-to-whole ratio. Rabbits or hamsters to dogs is still a part-to-part because we're looking at this part compared to this part, which is dogs. On your own, pause the tape now and try these 3 problems. Okay, hopefully you've paused the tape and you've tried these 3 problems, and we'll go through them now. The first one, what is the ratio of shaded to unshaded boxes? So the first thing they say is shaded, and all we have to do is count our shaded boxes, and there's 1, 2, 3 of them. So we have 3 shaded boxes to every 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 unshaded boxes. So the ratio is 3 to 6, which simplifies to 1 to 2. 1 shaded box for every 2 unshaded. And we could actually just take a look at that and see. When we take a look at this ratio here of 1 shaded, 2 unshaded, 1 shaded, 2 unshaded, 1 shaded, 2 unshaded, you see the ratio is true for each part. Number 2, a campground has 2 tents for every 5 RVs. So we're talking about 2 tents for every 5 RVs, which are just fancy campers. Which of the following could represent the total number of tents and RVs at the campground? Well, this problem is really similar to what we looked at here where we were talking about the total number of students in a class. In this problem, if we have 2 tents and 5 RVs, that means there's a total of 7 vehicles. So our answer has to be a multiple of 7. So if we doubled this ratio, that would be 14. If we tripled our total, we'd have 21. If we quadrupled it, we'd have 28. So when we take a look at our answer choices here, 12 is not a possible answer, neither is 18, but both 21 and 14 could represent the number of the total tents and RVs. The last problem says at the grocery store there are 3 flour tortillas for every 2 corn tortillas. Write a ratio to represent corn to total. So we're looking for corn tortillas to total tortillas. Just a little bit of hunting here. Corn tortillas, we got 2 of them. 2 corn tortillas. Now to find our total, if we have 3 flour and 2 corn, that is a total of 5 tortillas. So 2 to 5, or written as a fraction, 2 to 5. Okay, feel free to go back through anything you need on this video. The bit.ly for your work today is right here. It's bit.ly, capital I, capital S, capital R, the number 1, 2019.